should say preparing. Yep, live stream in progress. So this is what I call the pre-game show, because the reason is we don't have a notification yet. Hi everybody, MJ. This is man needs no introduction.
What,
Dave and
so
Osaka.
when does the?
It's usually 15 to 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
We'll get a YouTube notification, but we have to make sure of one thing. We have to go to the studio and make sure that we're actually
Streaming.
Yes, we are. And oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, and so now we are live. Here we go. And here it is. Wow. Now we're on YouTube. And what I usually do is I pause the video because I don't need that bandwidth. And I just turn the volume down. And now I got
Good idea.
yeah. So hi everybody. As you can see, we're here with the infamous, famous, the world's greatest live streamer, as he's been called. Well, you know, ever since I did that gag, that was so hilarious. I appreciate you, you know, about the world's greatest live streamer. You know, that was fantastic.
Yes, I remember.
So, but Dave, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. You know, being both a rocket scientist and a brain surgeon. I know your schedule is so.
I'm super busy.
You are, but
I'm super busy.
but it's only because I'm so famous that you pencil
Exactly.
this.
Yeah.
Actually, I heard you had to erase some important.
I did.
Some big material. Yeah,
Canceled a few operations, and a few rocket launches. Here I am.
There you go. Yeah. Well, we're in Osaka, and now that I know how to pronounce it correctly, and my wife and Phoenix are behind the camera. They don't want to be shown. Ordinarily, guys, I use the Mic 3, and I don't know why. It might be environmental conditions, but when I connect this, it disconnects the connection to the camera, and that's bad. So we're not going to use it. And we're just talking directly into the Pocket 3, but it should be okay. So hopefully, this is kind of early, you know, and there'll be a lot of replay viewers. Might be 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You know, like that. So
Hopefully.
so anyway, so Dave, what have you been up to?
I need to quit. What have I been up to? Work.
Yeah. You know what we should do?
Work.
Yeah, probably should. We can just go over here to.
Is there something connecting to your hotspot?
It's this.
Oh, okay. It is.
Yeah.
Looks like it's going now.
Yep. I think we're back. And let me turn this off here. Yeah. Okay. I think we're back. Sorry, we got it. This actually probably started a new live stream. Just have to see because this is. If I go back to Chrome, see what's going on. Yeah, no, this is still circling. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I think we're back. But yes, so nobody's ever really, I mean, in all these years, you know, because people want to know about you, Dave, I think. I mean, you have a lot of fans, and so unfortunately, nobody's ever going to see it on my channel.
Maybe that's a good thing.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I got to go back to see where we're at here for live on yeah, here we go. This is number 2. Okay. So Rob Kilo says Dave MJ stream keeps cutting out. Hi Rob, how you doing? Yeah, sorry, we know there must be a lot of interference in here in this area. We don't know why, but I wasn't even able to connect the DJI mic up because it kept cutting out. But anyway, the good news is I have a generic Pocket 3 kind of backup sort of thumbnail. I'll change it later. So
Okay.
but it maintained the same title. Man, oh man, yeah. So anyway, how long have you been living in Japan?
Almost 25 years.
Almost 25 years.
Yeah. Always in Osaka boy.
I was in Osaka. Well, that's, yeah. And Osaka is, wait a minute. You said Osaka. It's Osaka, right?
Osaka. I gotta stretch it out that O a little
Osaka,
bit.
yes.
Or you get it wrong.
Yeah, because there we go. Osaka. Osaka.
Big hill.
Big, is that what it means?
Yeah. O is big. Osaka is hill.
It means something
Big
totally
slope.
different.
Big slope.
Wow, it means something totally different in Chinese, you know.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah. But because we're reading in Chinese, I'm seeing these places, and I'm seeing like, you know, Ba Ding is like, that's like a Hachitori or whatever, you know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hachibori.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so never mind that. So, I think you told me, and I don't think the audience has ever heard this, that actually Japanese was your second choice to study, wasn't it?
Chinese was Mandarin Chinese was my first, and I found out the program was canceled.
Yeah.
They canceled the course. I don't know why. It was a very popular course. And I said, okay, I'm going to take Japanese. And that changed the course of my life.
Changed the course of your life. And changed the course of live streaming forever, too.
Yeah.
I want to try to move this in a little bit more. Actually, I should probably do an interview and film it and upload it.
Could. Well, there we go. I think we're back.
I think we're back, but this might be like live stream number 3.
Unsalvageable? Or
it might literally be number 3. No, I guess, no, it might be the same. It might be the same one.
oh, okay, good.
Yeah. No, it is the same one. Okay, good. Excellent. We're using the same setting, so
Okay.
it should be okay. So how did you feel that, like, were you, like, disappointed? Like, I'm going to end up in Japan, or?
Because I started studying Japanese.
Well, because the Chinese program wasn't open.
Yeah. Well, I was still interested in Japanese culture because as a kid, I liked the video games from there and manga and that. So I definitely had an interest in that, but I'm not sure I can't recall what made me want to do Chinese first. I think I did feel like that's going to be a coming force, economic power. And I thought for business, in terms of business, that would be the wiser choice. But maybe Japanese was a bit more sentimental of a choice because of my experience as a child. But
Really?
yeah.
That's interesting. Because a lot of people don't even think about Chinese. I mean, I see a lot of tourists. They just like, what's the first place you want to go? I want to go to Japan. It's the
that's
popularity
true.
So high.
Yeah.
The penetration, I think, into like at least North American culture is much greater. And quite frankly, nowadays I think China probably doesn't have that good of a reputation in a lot of respects. But anyway, I just want to make sure you're in the frame.
Yeah.
Well, that's now. How long do you think, in your opinion, did it take for you to get like where you felt fluent? Enough to,
I still don't feel fluent.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah. I mean, you're never completely fluent. There's always something. Even native-speaking people run across things that But
I think it's
functionally.
I think it's something that even my students say too. Once you're in an environment where you're that language only, like a Japanese only environment for an extended period of time, or they're in their English only environment. If they're studying overseas, maybe 1 year or 6 months. Once you're in that extended period of time like that, your brain just stays in that mode and knows what it's like to be in that mode all the time. And that's when I started feeling like that. And that even though I had lived here, how many years was it until I was in that environment? Oh boy, I think it was about probably 7 or 8 years until I wasn't only a Japanese only environment. Even at work, I had other colleagues from around. We were at JETS, right? So other teachers from other countries living together. I was hanging out with them, and it was a certain period of time where everybody I knew left, and the only people I knew were Japanese. So I was always in Japanese mode, and that's where it kind of solidified my Japanese then.
Yeah, you can't really emphasize that enough. You have to be in the environment. But do you remember, like, this happens with Chinese speakers. With Chinese speakers, there's tones involved.
Right.
And when I realized that I had reached a level of fluency that I felt like, it was kind of like, oh wow, I didn't realize. It was when I heard a foreigner speaking Chinese and I couldn't understand them because the tones weren't there. And I'm like,
And
what did
you
they
were
say?
aware of it.
And
That's interesting. Yeah.
So, like, what in Japanese, because it's not tonal, you use tone for emotional, conveyance, like in English. When did you reach that point? Like, how did you know that I've arrived and I'm functionally? I mean, was there kind of like a eureka moment?
Yeah, I'm trying to think when.
Let me make a suggestion.
Off the top of my head, no.
I'll bet this has happened to you, because I had some bloggers visit,
Okay.
and it's quite a number of years ago. And I took them all around everywhere, and I realized at the end of the day, I translated everything they said and back and forth, and there was only like maybe 2 things that they said that I wasn't able to translate. There's something kind of not a usual kind of thing, you know, and that's what I remember. I said, wow. So I bet you've done something like that.
I can think of a couple of things. I have had several pets since I've been here that have passed away, and when a cat got ill, one of my cats was ill. I was, you know, I had to because of the illness it had. I was at the vet every day. I had to go to the vet every day. Had a kidney problem, so I was communicating every day a medical language, trying to make sense of it. So not only was that testing my foundational Japanese, but it was extending the vocabulary to like a specific
The technical
situation.
part, yeah.
So that was one thing. Once the foundation is not, you know, the second
tier.
nature,
Yeah.
then
Oh, I see,
I
yeah.
realized, you know, I had to do that had to just come automatically in order for me to communicate the technical language. That was probably one big thing that did it for me. Yeah.
And what about, like, you ever not known a word but made a word up? You know, out of what you already know, and it worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another reason when you know, like, oh, I understand the components and can make compound words that I didn't know existed.
Or even you can say, what's the thing that blah 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 blah, and then somebody will say it. If you can explain that.
True. Yeah. If you can make them
That kind
understand
of
what you're
string.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. This is really interesting. I like these kind of discussions because most of the foreigners that you see that are like living in places like Japan and Taiwan, they really don't dive that deep.
Yeah.
You know, and quite frankly, a lot of the guys in Taiwan are skirt chasers. You know, they're just here to have some good times and have a fling or two, teach English and find themselves, whatever that means. But like Rob, who's watching us here and I'm working with Rob on the Map Freaks channel.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I know Rob. Yep.
And so guys like him, Michael Turton, and many others I know, and long-term guys, you know, we learn the language and we learn the, you know. But when you were in Taiwan, what was one of the things that struck you like as being very different culturally? If you can think, I know it was quite a while that you were there.
Compared to here?
Yeah, compared to here.
I really think it was very similar to Japan, and I think it was. It seemed like Japan with Chinese characters. Basically, it was. You know, I've been to mainland before, and that was. You know, it has a lot of older buildings. I was in Beijing specifically. I'm thinking.
Okay, yeah.
So that's a lot older. You know, a lot of the history's there. A lot of, but in terms of Taipei and that, it really seemed very similar
Super
to
modern.
Japan.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it
just
is.
ultra modern, super clean.
Yeah.
And just the language was. I really didn't think of anything that much different. Yeah.
Rob says learning the language, it's a long slog. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you're never quite done because even with Chinese, to have a working knowledge, you need to know by memory at least 5,000 characters.
Yeah.
And all the time.
2,000.
Yeah, and all the time, right? People like read the newspaper and they run across stuff they've never seen before, even native speakers.
And I always think about what I don't know, not rather than what I do. Well, I think most people do.
Right. We seem deficient. It doesn't matter that we already know 3,500. It's the other, 1,500 we're worried about. We don't know. I know. But at least I will say that Japanese does have a phonetic language.
Yeah.
And so you can sound it out. Same with Korean, same with Thai.
Much easier.
Although the script in Thai is impossible. But with Korean, it's easy. But in Chinese, it's not phonetic.
No.
It's pictographic, and you've got to know what it. And there are similarities between words that have maybe the radical's different, but the pronunciation is similar. But yeah. I noticed the difference.
Yeah, well, I gotta ask you, what since you've been here, what have you noticed? Because I'm sure you picked up things I don't. It's been a while for me too.
Yeah.
And I was only there. This is new for you. So what do you know?
It's brand new. Japanese people are very smart, but they're not as efficient as I expected.
Okay.
There are a lot of things like nomenclature and the subway and stuff is all messed up. It's very hard for me to follow.
Okay.
Like, you'll see it'll say like exit C2, and you'll walk, and then at 200 meters there'll be at C2, and I go, okay, I'll go this way. And then I come up to the exit, and it's around the corner, and the C2 is on the inside wall, and you can't see it from the hallway. That just anyway, this is where Rob says the difficulty is vocabulary acquisition. You simply cannot read stuff for yourself like you can with phonetic alphabets. He's right about that. You need someone to teach you everything. He's talking about reading Chinese and picking up new vocabulary.
I see.
The way you pick up new vocabulary in Chinese is you learn it by ear first, from the foreign ear, and then you go back and you say, oh, that's how you write it. And you know, but I don't know how to put this. I don't want to be impolite, but it seems to me that Japanese people mind other people's business a little more than Taiwanese people. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
I bought this guitar, and I bought a little pig nose travel guitar, and girl didn't speak English. That surprised me because it was in Shibuya.
Shibuya?
Yeah, and it surprised me at Ishigashi.
Ishibashi.
Yeah, I'm saying all these wrong. Okay. Yeah. And so anyway, so I said, "Is this a travel guitar?" I looked on. She goes, "No English." Anyway, so I looked on the back and it said travel guitar. Dummy. I said, "Okay, fine." So I said, "Yeah, I want to buy this guitar." Now they had detuned it. It was on the rack with no tension on the strings. That's weird. So she's tuning it. I don't need you to tune it. I'll tune it. So I just tuned my ear, right? And I'm playing. I said, "Okay, this guitar is great." I plugged it through Marshall, by the way. It sounded amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got a dual rail humbucker.
Okay.
Anyway,
yeah, I saw that.
So I said, "Okay, great, I'll take it." She says, "Okay," and she says, she used the Google Translator. "I'll find the bag, the soft bag."
Oh,
so,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so I'm waiting. So I go over and I pay for it, and she won't give it to me. Yeah. I have to take the battery out, she says. She writes in Google, I have to take the battery out because it's illegal to board a plane with the battery in it. I said, I'm leaving the store and I'm going to the street, not on a plane. Huh? No English. Okay. Finally found somebody. And all I said to him was, it's my problem, not yours. And he said it in Japanese, and she went, oh, hi, and she gave me the guitar.
Oh.
And it was detuned again.
Oh.
I didn't ask her to detune it. She has it in her mind, oh, I have to take the tension off the strings because it's bad. There's a lot of people that this looks like an old wives' tale.
Yeah.
And I realized, I go, that was weird, man. That was like, really, like...
Did he actually tell her to? I wonder what he told her. Did he tell her about the battery or not?
I don't know if he did. I don't know where that came from. But you know, it's not illegal. I mean, everything I got's got batteries in it. We're talking about lithium batteries. It's different.
Right.
And lithium batteries are okay if they're in the circuit.
Okay.
But again, but like I'm saying is, it's sometimes, and not just here, but sometimes people mind other people's business a little bit too much. And I did see a little more inquisitiveness about things. Like, for example, buying the tax-free stuff here, right? Well, the law says that whatever you buy has to be exported.
Okay.
But they put it in a bag and said you can't open it.
Right.
You know. I bought this in Japan. I'm using it. I'm not going to go to jail because it's not consumable. I'm going to leave with this.
Yeah.
Right. But you know, like food is different. Cosmetics different.
Oh, right.
I got some hair gel. I didn't open it. Other stuff, you know, I got like the little, you know, massager and things like that. I got this. Here's another one. Ooh, I bought this here, but I opened it. You know, nobody's going to do anything because the law says it has to be exported. But in order to, what I'm saying is the stores act like they are the enforcement arm, and they try to. You can't open it. And, you know, and there's a bag that says "Do not open inside of Japan." You go, "Oh my God!" It's like I can't rip the tag off the pillow. You know, this kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's all.
No,
I mean, it's a small thing.
they go by the book, and that's it. And they just when you tell them not to go outside the book, it's like circuit break. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know what to do. You know what I mean?
I do, because I've often said about Taiwan that some things are very tightly controlled, but at the end of the line where it's not controlled, it's completely out of control. And I think that might be the case here.
Yeah.
Where you've got a society it's almost an institutionalized mentality where everything is,
Everything has to be a certain way for a certain reason. You have to follow that by the book.
But if there's no reason or no rule, it's
yes.
disparaging at all. But it's something that I noticed. But I just thought it was weird that she wouldn't. I mean, I bought the guitar, so I felt like I was like, give me this.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, not surprised at all.
No.
I wasn't going to do that, but I wanted her to understand this is not, social need to search. It's not your problem. Yeah.
But I think that the way she reacted and that she let you do it, that shows something different to me. Because normally they would be like, no, you can't. No. They wouldn't let you leave the store. Kind of
really?
Thing. I can. Yeah. So that shows some flexibility from her. That somebody actually convinced her to let you do it. I'm shocked.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you run across something like that?
Yeah, and they won't let me. They wouldn't let me take the guitar. So that sounds like pretty flexible to me that they actually did that. Yeah. Because like I said, like they'll do everything by the book, and the fact that she let you leave with, I don't know what that guy told her. That's surprising to me.
Well, he read it. He read what I said in English, and then he just immediately said it. So it sounded to me like he just did a direct translation.
Okay.
It wasn't a lecture.
He
probably just said it's his problem, not yours.
Yeah. That's okay. That's with a little bit of flexibility, I think.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Now, Rob makes a couple of points. He says Chinese grammar is incredibly consistent and logical and straightforward, but acquiring the words to hang on to that structure is the difficulty. Right. In other words, you have to build up the vocabulary to understand the structure.
It's not that difficult, yeah.
Yeah. But you have to be dedicated to do it,
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the story, because I've got this scar on my thumb. I don't know if I ever told you about this. This was I had this big growth, and I had to get taken out.
Okay.
And this was in 2010, and I had been studying Chinese at Jiaodao University, and coincidentally I'd been writing Chinese 4 or 5 hours at a time. But I went to the doctor, and he had an assistant. It was just a thumb, so no general. It's just local anesthetic, right? And he was talking to me and joke. And he's talking to me and joking, and we're talking in Chinese. And he's got this big screen, so I can't see, And so he says, "So Mr. Zhu," that's my Chinese. "Mr. Zhu, when did you start noticing this pain in my hand?" And I said, "Well, I was studying Chinese at Jiaodao University, and every day at home I was writing Chinese for maybe 3 or 4 hours." And he puts his surgical instruments down, and he looks at his assistant. He says, "You see what happens when foreigners come to Taiwan and they study Chinese?" And I got to tell you, man, it's a good thing that he put that instrument down, because my hand was shaking. I was laughing so hard, man. I was barely laughing, It was great. But that, I mean, and this doctor gave me a photograph of my thumb open, because the next day I came back to change the dressing, and my wife's taking pictures. Says, "We're taking pictures." I said, "Yeah, I got a blog." He goes, "You do?" I said, "Yeah." And I'm talking about my operation. And he goes, "Hey, you want a picture I took of the operation?" I was like, "Is that a trick question?" I was like, he emailed it to me. It's on my blog.
That's hilarious.
And one of my friends, James Boyd, who's on Facebook, he says that picture is absolutely disgusting. I can't stop looking at it. So,
is it wide open?
It is, and you can see the nerve. You can see the nerves
God.
connecting to the meat.
Wow.
But he took this thing out that looked like a piece of xiaomai. It looked like a piece of pork. He said, "I'd never seen anything like it. It was hard. It wasn't like one of those cysts that they used to call the Bible cyst, because you would hit it with a big book.
Okay.
It wasn't anything like that." He said never said anything about it, but the pathology said it was benign. So whatever. Wow. Kind of went down a wrong train with that. But this is interesting. What we're going to do is we're going to have to wrap this up. My family's hanging out, and they're laughing in the background, but their patience is running thin. I can see. But Dave, we're going to go to Kyoto tomorrow, and specifically to Gion, which is where you used to do all your geisha spotting. So we're hoping you can join us, and then maybe we can do a late night after
That would be great.
after hours,
Definitely.
and maybe have some
Sure.
imbibe of the
Sounds
local
good.
or maybe not so local. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's
And
do
so, thanks everyone for joining, and hopefully YouTube will straighten all this out. When the when it's processes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We had problems with our data, but we'll try again tomorrow from Kyoto. Maybe we can use local Wi-Fi or something. I don't
Okay.
know. But sure. You guys take care, and we will see you next time. And I'm going
Good night.
to reconnect to the Mimo app, which is one you don't have to do it this way, but this is the way to end the live stream. So
Oh.
yep,
Reconnect.
yeah, I reconnected to it, and it shows that we're at 20 minutes. So
I see.
this live stream ends now.